Hello and welcome to Lunchtime Politics. First, the highlights. President Muhammadu Buhari arrives Katsina State for the Presidential and National Assembly elections. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, says it's prepared for the 2023 elections, distributes sensitive materials to states across the country. Plus, security agencies send strong message, warns that no form of disruption will be allowed. Welcome to 1 hour of Lunchtime Politics today on the eve of the general elections in Nigeria. I'm Millicent Walker in Lagos. President Muhammadu Buhari has arrived direct at Katsina State in preparation for the presidential elections on Saturday, the 25th of February 2023. The president was received by the Katsina State Governor, Aminu Bello Masari, the Director General of the National Intelligence Agency, Ambassador Ahmed Rufai Abubakar, and the president will be casting his vote at a polling unit close to his country home in Daura, alongside his wife, Aisha Buhari, and other family members. According to a statement issued by the Senior Special Assistant to the President, Mr. Garba Shehu, the president will be participating not as a candidate, as he had done since 2003, but as a voter alongside all members of his family, members of the entourage, including security, protocol, and other staff registered to vote in Daura. Yesterday, the president, in a series of tweets, reminded Nigerians on keeping the country safe, united, and peaceful. The tweet reads, "Any aggrieved candidate should resort to the established judicial processes, and we must have the confidence to trust our legal systems. I urge the candidates contesting these elections at all levels to respect the choice of voters and accept the results of the elections as announced by INEC, the agency empowered by law to do so." He said we must constantly improve our electoral process using technology and all the positive elements it brings to consolidate the integrity of our elections. According to the president, he has asked INEC, security agencies, and all other relevant institutions to be firm, courageous, and to abide by the laws and constitutional provisions in conducting the elections. President Buhari also mentions that his administration has demonstrated that with the off-cycle elections in Edo, Ondo, Anambra, Ekiti, and Osun states, Nigerians should be allowed to decide who governs them. He said his administration is committed to passing on a legacy of free, fair, credible, safe, and peaceful elections, and will continue to act with neutrality and allow the rule of law take precedence over political expediency. In the meantime, all appears set for Saturday's presidential and National Assembly elections across the country, and for the 18 candidates taking part in the elections, campaigns are over. For INEC, the Independent National Electoral Commission, it said that over 87 million permanent voter cards have been collected across the country. Now, in the summary of registered voters and PVCs collected, Bauchi State recorded the highest with 99% of PVCs collected, followed by Anambra and Katsina, both recording 98% permanent voter cards collected. The states with the highest percentage of PVCs uncollected were recorded in Osun with 18.5%, Oyo 15.7%, Ogun 15.3%, and Edo 14.9%. This now puts the total number of PVCs collected at 87,209,007 PVCs collected in the 36 states and the FCT.
We are convinced that our joint operations before and on election day will vastly reduce the prospect of voter inducement, which is not only illegal, but actually immoral. The ban on the use of mobile phones and photographic devices at the voting cubicles is still in force. Our arrangement of placing the ballot boxes near the voting cubicles and away from the party agents remains. Several of our facilities were attacked by unknown assailants in various parts of the country. I am pleased that we have fully recovered from these attacks, and we have been further assured that our facilities, staff, voters, observers, the media, and citizens will be safe during the election. the bulk of the small amount of cash that we have requested from the Central Bank of Nigeria is right now being released to the Commission's offices nationwide. In fact, a substantial part of it has already been received by our offices nationwide, and this has greatly facilitated the movement of sensitive materials yesterday from the branches of the Central Bank to our local government areas. And by tomorrow, we'll batch them and then move them on Friday to the registration area centers. And then on Saturday early morning, they will be moved to the polling units for voting.
Well, staying with the Electoral Commission, distribution of materials across various local governments continued, this time in northern Nigeria, from Borno to Niger, and in most parts of the 19 states in the region. Resident Electoral Commissioners provided updates on the state of preparedness ahead of Saturday's presidential and National Assembly elections.
Years of preparation are now reduced to a few hours as officials of the Independent National Electoral Commission begin the distribution of election materials. Across northern Nigeria, activities pick up at the state branches of the Central Bank of Nigeria, where sensitive election materials were sorted and distributed.
We have the full complements of ballot papers for the presidential, for the Senate, and the House of Reps, as well as their result sheets. And by Friday, we are moving INEC personnel, particularly polling units, officials, the SPOs, and the collation officers that are being trained.
We're going to separate them. Each electoral officer is going to have his own and is going to check alongside our officials and party agents and observers. If you have any shortage of anything, that is the time to inform Abuja for reinforcement as soon as possible.
As I'm talking with you now, all our 23 electoral officers have been called from the field. They are here. Just so it yourself will flat off the distribution of the material, and hopefully in the next few hours we should be ready.
The materials are tagged according to their senatorial districts and more specifically to their local government areas. The idea is to ensure that the materials get to the remotest communities in the various states of northern Nigeria.
You start with the ones that are farthest, so that even as they are on the road, you're dealing with the sorting and distribution for some of the local governments that are close by.
In terms of collection by our electoral officers, we are going to start with the farthest local government so that they can be on their way as quickly as possible in order not to waste time and get to their various destinations late in the night.
Don't delay them here. When they are taken to the RAs, they will be taken directly to the polling units. So that's why we feel we should leave it until tomorrow. Because on Friday, when they are taken, they go straight to the polling units.
Representatives of political parties, security agencies and observers were on ground to ensure that the distribution exercise is seamless. INEC officials say all is set for the exercise, urging Nigerians to exercise their right to vote.
From here, the materials have been distributed to the various local government areas, which we have 11 in the state, and all the EOs are here. They move the materials down to their various local governments after checking.
These are the sensitive materials. Now, what is joining them, as you have recorded, is the beavers. This is a new introduction. This has not been used in the 2019 general election. This is what we are going to deploy for 2023 general elections. So they are collecting these three, components this night: ballot papers, result sheet, and the beavers.
The exercise is expected to continue into the night across the country, while the bimodal voter accreditation system machine is expected to be distributed to the local government areas on Friday, February 24th, under tight security watch.
Our correspondent in Benue State, North Central Nigeria, joins me now with the latest. Hi, Pius. Talk to us about INEC's preparations. We understand that, the sensitive materials have been received, have gotten to local government areas there.
With the latest,
thank you, Millicent, for joining me in Makadi. On Wednesday this week, the Independent National Electoral Commission in Benue State began the distribution of sensitive materials, which include the ballot papers, result sheets, beavers, to the 23 local government areas of the state. As at yesterday, they also began moving some minimal level of staff. This morning, when I came to INEC, the polling officers and security are moving from the state headquarters to the various local governments where they will begin distribution of their materials tomorrow. So the preparations from INEC, materials have all been moved to the local government. What is left here is just minor details of who should go where, and those who have been assigned have moved. We understand that there are about 510 polling units in Benue. INEC says it has enough beavers of that number with a 5% markup to augment anywhere there is a shortfall. So with beavers, they have assured us that they won't have any problem going to the election. As it's pretty much here, right now we're starting at INEC headquarters, and nothing is happening beyond the fact that everybody have been designated and moved to where they should be going to.
And Pius, talk to us about security as well. A lot of people are wondering, in terms of how the police, which is, driving this, is preparing ahead of the elections there.
Okay, when I left office to come to INEC this morning, the state command, the police state command is a beehive of activities of a joint security personnel drawn from the Nigerian Civil Defense Corps, the immigration, the police themselves, all have been assigned with their vehicles loading up, preparing to move. So when I came to talk with the Commissioner of Police at INEC headquarters, because he had a meeting with the Resident Electoral Commissioner, he gave me a brief of what is the deployment like, and then the number of 3 commissioners of police have been sent to Benue. And so I will allow you hear from him what exactly will be happening at the polling unit level, at the local government level, and at the state level in terms of coordination for the security. So let's go to the commissioner and hear what he's got to say.
So very shortly, we will be playing that track of the CP in Benue State as to the level of preparedness. But just to quickly get your thoughts, Pius, in terms of the mood for the people who will be coming out to vote, is there excitement, or is the Naira crunch dampening the mood?
I tell you the truth, it's a mixed feeling for the people. Yesterday, we had an interview with the chairman of Guma local government, who doubles as the chairman of the state Algon, that's Association of Local Government of Nigeria, who clearly said that the implementation of the new Naira policy this election period is not a good move, because it is dampening movement of logistics by INEC, police, even voters themselves. And so it's going to be likely a sore point on the election process. You see a lot of people complaining. I drove through, of course, you see a lot of people hanging at the banks, not being able to draw money. Now, people who want to travel are looking for who to travel with to their local government or their polling unit. I've had calls coming to me as a person today. But also, on the other side, there are those who said this election for them is a watershed for the Nigerian governance system, and they want to do everything possible to participate. So yes, it's a sitting problem in the election cycle, but people are saying they will surmount it. So in Benue is a huge mobilization among especially young people who want to participate in the process, believing that they can make an impact. And so from where we are standing on this Jonah Jang Road, where INEC office is, a whole lot of people are lining up here who believing that one issue or the other with regards to election will be sorted so that they can participate in it.
Now, I understand that the CPs, we can hear from the CP right now, CP Wali Abbas, on the situation. Let's take a listen.
To tell you that we have more than enough assets, human assets and operational assets to contain any eventuality from anywhere. I want to tell you that we have covered all the polling units, both the one that has to do with the crossing of the rivers and some of the flashpoints we have. So with this arrangement, we have been able to establish a quick response unit. The quick response unit is mandated to attend to distress calls. They are all located around the 3 senatorial districts in case of any eventuality. I think with that one in place, we are good to go. Don't forget, like I've said, I'm the Commissioner of Police. Benue State, we have other commissioners that have come to assist us, 3 of them. And the 3 of them, they are to take care of each of the 3 senatorial districts.
All right, so it appears all hands on deck. Pius Angbo, thanks a lot. We'll be talking to you in the hours ahead of D-Day. Thanks a lot, Pius Angbo, our correspondent in Benue State, North Central Nigeria.
Thanks, Millicent.
Well, let's go over to the nation's capital, where the Director on Voter Education, Mr. Victor Aluko, joins me now for more. Thanks, and thank you for your patience. You and the Commission, you must be working round the clock as Election Day approaches. Talk to us a bit about that experience.
Thank you for having me. Really, it's an interesting experience. We are a very patriotic commission. Our allegiance to the people of Nigeria, our allegiance is to the electorate and all voters. So we are working around the clock, as you said, to provide a platform for voters to elect their leaders. That's what we are doing all over the country, in all the 774 local government areas, in all the 8,809 registration areas in the country.
I want to get your thoughts on this particular information that which seems to have gone round, and this is that the PVC is no longer a guarantee that you will vote if your name has been migrated to another PU polling unit from where you've been used to. In line with that, on voting day, you may not be allowed to vote there. Can you clarify what that means and what people should expect?
That's fake news and complete misinformation. We understand that at a time like this, there's a lot of fake news in the whole place, especially on the social media. Many people now are emergency journalists. They just stay in their houses, imagine all sort of things and post them. Every cogent information, every factual information about the electoral process comes from the Independent National Electoral Commission. And there's no time INEC said that people will vote without their PVCs. The law makes it mandatory for you to access a polling units with your PVC. And the fact is, anyone without PVC should not bother to come near our polling units at all, because the person will not even be allowed to enter the polling unit, because we have an INEC official and a staff presiding officer who is a crowd controller. We will be there to welcome people coming to the polling unit for the purposes of voting. And if you come there and you present any other identification that's not a PVC, it will politely turn the person back. And if the person wants to insist on entering and troubling officials, the presiding officer has the full powers to invite the security agencies to arrest that person. So it's good for Nigerians to disregard that story going around the social media that you can vote without your PVC. 87.2 million Nigerians have our PVCs, and those are the people we are expecting in all our 776,606 polling units on election day.
But it's important to locate their polling units before election day, yes?
Yes, it's important. We have been doing a lot of voter education. We have been doing a lot of voter education, voter enlightenment since the past 2 weeks about this issue. We have told people how they could check online through our website. We told people how they could send SMS. Apart from that, as a commission, we have been sending a lot of SMS to voters. Because since we created additional polling units in the country to stop the issue of congestion and crowding in our polling areas, we understood that we needed to populate the new polling units with voters. And so we had some redistribution of some people. And definitely, we'll be sending a lot of messages to these people ourselves. And a lot of people, including my own wife, received message from INEC. And I believe that even in Lagos, you too must know some people that must have received messages from INEC. And these messages are genuine. You might be in a unit 10 before, and we send a message that you are now in unit 15 in the same location. That is the same neighborhood. And that's what we are doing. We are informing people and we're asking people to show interest. That is, if they are in doubt, to know where they will vote. And if they come, even election day, which is tomorrow morning, if they come to their old polling unit, there will be an INEC person there that will look at their card and look at and direct them to where they should vote. Because most of the polling units are within the same area. Imagine a polling unit in a school before they had about 5,000 voters. We must have broken that particular polling unit now into 5 within the same area, within the same geographical location, within the same neighborhood. So it won't be difficult at all for people to vote.
All right, Director on Voter Education, Mr. Victor Aluko, thank you for your time and all the best, in your preparations. Thanks again.
Thank you.
We're going on a quick break. When we return, we'll speak to our correspondents in the South, South and Southeast regions on the preparations there. Just stay with us. Welcome back. The General Officer commanding the 82 Division, Major General Aminu Chinade, has called on residents of the Southeast to shun any threats in order to boycott the election on Saturday. According to him, the Army and other security agencies are fully prepared to tackle any threat head-on. He has issued a note of warning to those who intend to disrupt the peace in the area to have a rethink, as the Army will not hesitate to deal with them decisively. We're bringing more on security there, but this is also staying with security. The Rivers State Police Command has arrested a member of the House of Representatives in the state on suspicion of attempting to buy votes and also money laundering. The suspect, Chinyere Igwe, a House member representing Port Harcourt to federal constituency in the House of Representatives, was picked up by men of the command while on a stop and search duty Thursday. At the point of arrest, Mr. Igwe was said to be in possession of a cash to the tune of $498,100 and a list for distribution of the money. Confirming the arrest in a statement, the public relations officer of the command, Grace Iringe Koko, explains that the suspect was arrested on Aba Road, close to the headquarters of the Independent National Electoral Commission. She adds that the Assistant Inspector General of Police in charge of elections in the state has ordered a swift interrogation and arraignment of the suspect in court. Well, staying with security in the Southeast and preparations, our correspondent Tokwe Kuti is live for us. Hi, Tokwe. Disturbing news on security. This is yesterday in Enugu, and also the measures we understand NYSC is taking to protect ad hoc staff. But are people reassured that tomorrow's election will be smooth? You might have to unmute so we can hear you.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear
Very well. Go right ahead.
Okay, I said I saw some disturbing news coming from Enugu East Senatorial District, and just a few moments ago, information reaching me has it that INEC has cancelled elections in the zone and ordered fresh primaries for affected political parties. Meanwhile, the Commissioner for Police in Enugu State and alongside his colleagues in the Southeast has assured residents of the Southeast of secured and peaceful general elections, while urging residents of the Southeast not to be cowed by the antics of these cowardly assailants who have been attacking facilities and attacking people ahead of the elections. I'll also be speaking to the Commissioner of Police in Imo State later today to also get more views on the preparedness of the security operative of the election, because few hours ago, 3 more CPs have been posted to Imo State to support the present Commissioner of Police ahead of the elections tomorrow. So far, so good. The security operatives say they have everything under control, and they're urging people to come out en masse and vote for candidates of their choice in this election.
And Tokwe, we had earlier heard the INEC rect speak about the National Youth Corps Service withdrawing some of its core members, mental workers, ad hoc staff, and some local government areas in the state.
Okay, yeah, what really happened is that there's some designated areas in Imo State, like these places are Okigwe local government, Osu, and Olu local government. The INEC has withdrawn their ad hoc staff meant to work for the elections tomorrow. And the fact is for security reasons. She also told us that earlier they agreed that the elections will hold at some places, some designated areas like the stadium where they have more security, and they agreed. But later there was a change in the arrangement, and because some people will not be able to access the stadium, so they took the polling units back to some local areas, and INEC is worried with that development. So they are withdrawing their ad hoc staff from the assignment tomorrow. So, but for now, we're still waiting to know what INEC would do regarding that situation here in Owerri, Imo State.
And Tokwe, getting cash has been a major issue for many Nigerians, even as the restriction of movement will be in place. How is that affecting residents, as I suppose a number of people are doing last-minute shopping?
Honestly, the cash crunch is biting harder by day, and day in, day out, you see large crowds besieging the banks to get cash. After staying long hours on long queues in the bank, they end up not getting any. And most times the POS operators, the charges are too high. So there's frustration and complaints everywhere. And most of them, even the internet banking, the transfer is not been working. So, and to even make the situation worse is the hike in fuel price. As of today, we still have some filling stations selling fuel at the rate of 390 to 400 naira per liter, which has also affected the transportation cost and cost of living. So people are complaining about it. But even regardless of all this, I have an Imo resident here, Kelechi Njoku, who is excited to vote in tomorrow's election. And he said, regardless of the cash crunch and everything, he is willing and happy to vote in tomorrow's election. Kelechi Njoku, tomorrow is the presidential and national assembly election. So how are you feeling now?
We are feeling good that this election, the 2023 election, is already by the corner. And we are very hopeful to cast our votes tomorrow.
Your casting, do you have your PVC?
Yes, I have. I think this is the most important plastic card ever. This is very, very important. I have mine, so I'm going to use it tomorrow.
So the cash crunch is not affecting you. How are you moving to your polling booth tomorrow?
We'll always find a way. It will not have access. I'm traveling to my village to vote, and hopefully Nigeria will win tomorrow.
Thank you. That's Kelechi Njoku there. He resides and works in Imo, and is excited to participate in the presidential and national assembly elections tomorrow. Just be hopeful that we'll continue to bring you details of everything that is happening in the Southeast before, during, and after tomorrow's election. It's back to you in Lagos.
Thank you. Itakwe Kuteye live for us there in Owerri ahead of the elections tomorrow. Let's switch back to Lagos. Well, correspondent Dari Dowo, he's been moving around the state, feeling the pulse of the people on the eve of the general elections. Dari. Talk to us where you are and what's happening.
Yeah, thank you very much, Millicent. I'm at Orile Agege local government. That is the INEC office here. But let me quickly run through the mood around town, because we've been going around from Ikeja to Agege to other areas in Lagos. The mood is really calm. The roads are freer. So if you're moving from point A to point B in Lagos today, of course, it's not the normal hustle and bustle. It's not the normal everyday traffic. move easily with ease without actually running into that very heavy traffic. And that's because apparently more people are staying at home and the markets are not so busy as well. From Ikeja to this point, that is what we observed. Then at the entrance of this local government, there are people standing around there hoping that they can still pick up their PVC, but the local government officials here are telling them that is not going to happen. Now, let me talk to you about what is happening in the background. What is happening is, of course, we reported when sensitive materials were moved from the CBN to the local government. This is one of the 20 local governments in Lagos State, Orile Agege local government, and these materials are now being moved into this vehicle. They are going to be moved to the racks. The racks is the registration area centers. They are more like the central centers where these materials will be overnight and will be moved from there to more than 600 polling units in Agege tomorrow morning. And that is to tell you that the exercise is pretty much in shape. It would definitely happen according to what the electoral officer who is overseeing the process here told me, that they are very ready and this is the final movement from their end, Millicent.
Dido, thanks. We will be keeping tabs with you on the latest. Thanks very much. But let's go over to our Abuja studios now, where Mr. Lanre Arogundade, he's the Executive Director, International Press Center. He joins us for more on the arrangements, activities and preparations ahead of tomorrow. Thank you for joining me. First, I'd like to know, what role is the Press Center playing in this general elections?
Well, we're playing about 3 roles. First, we're monitoring the safety situation of journalists covering the elections. About 10,000 journalists have been accredited to cover these elections, including foreign ones. And these 10,000 journalists come from about 500 media houses. And so what we're doing is to ensure their safety. And yesterday, we issued a safety advisory for these journalists, particularly on how they should conduct themselves professionally, ethically, and in a conflict-sensitive manner. We've advised accredited journalists to ensure that when they go around tomorrow, they have on them the INEC accreditation tags. It's not yet tomorrow, but you could see that I already have my own, covering my tie. There are 2 types of accreditation. Some of our colleagues are accredited to cover the collation centers. And so they should ensure that they get the necessary tags. Because of this, we've been working back and forth with the INEC, the Directorate of Voter Education and Publicity, as well as the Office of the Chief Press Secretary to the INEC chairman. As at this morning, we've received reports that a number of journalists have not been able to collect the accreditation tags, because these tags have been sent to the states. And if you are covering elections in Ondo State, for example, or in Taraba State, you would have to go to the INEC office in Taraba to collect your tags. What we can say at this stage is to appeal to our colleagues to be patient. We're talking to them. The tags have definitely arrived the INEC offices, and it's just a question of the logistics of giving them out. We also have some of our colleagues demanding for stickers for their cars, because they will also be useful for identification by the security agencies. We're also taking this up. So this is the role we're playing. And obviously, we also need to, once again, appeal to the law enforcement and security agencies to recognize journalists as frontline workers in this process. Now, we have 2 categories of journalists and media professionals who will be on duty tomorrow. The ones that have been accredited to cover the elections, who will be going around for live coverage, and the ones who are media workers, who would have to go to our respective broadcast media, newspapers, and so on. We also appeal that they should be recognized as frontline workers once they are able to identify themselves. The good thing is that we're receiving cooperation from the office of the first PRO, Mr. Muyiwa Dijobi, and yesterday he obliged the International Press Center the contact details of all the police officers in their own election monitoring situation room, including AIGs, DIGs, and police officers that can be reached in all the states. So we've published this, and we advise journalists to take note of these numbers and try to reach those police officers when they notice that things are going wrong, not in terms of themselves, but even in terms of the conduct of the elections. Because our role really is not just to report, but also to ensure that the elections are conducted in a very peaceful manner. So we need to make use of all those contact details.
From your bird's view, what's your take on the preparations, INEC's readiness for the elections, the integrity of the ad hoc staff that will be conducting the exercise?
Well, this question came up yesterday at the press briefing by the INEC chairman, and what we got from him was assurance that they were, prepared. And I think this morning on your station, Festus Okoye, the commissioner in charge of information, also talked about the fact that the necessary trainings are being conducted for the ad hoc staff. Now, because they are ad hoc staff, it is important to brief them, very well, particularly in terms of sticking to the provisions of the Electoral Act. What we've seen, the experience has been that sometimes these INEC ad hoc staff come under a lot of pressure from, party agents. And so the position of INEC that the only way you could vote is for you to have your PVC should be enforced. Because what we really have now is that it's quite possible for somebody who has been registered but somehow has not been able to collect the PVC. So your name could be on the voters register, but if you don't have the PVC, you cannot vote. We believe that INEC will learn the necessary lessons from the Osun elections and ensure that these things are put in place. But the logistics of elections goes beyond INEC itself. INEC would only be able to deliver to the extent that the enabling environment is there. So for us at the International Press Center and at the level of civil society organizations working in this area of election, we're actually using this occasion to call on President Muhammadu Buhari to walk the talk, to live by its words, that it would give Nigerians a very credible elections. In this regard, it's quite worrisome that we keep having violence and pockets of violence and killings of candidates around the country. As at the time the peace accord was being signed on Wednesday, we were all there, but that was precisely when some candidates were being attacked in some parts of the country. So I feel that greater attention needs to be paid to securing the environment for these elections. And definitely this is something that is beyond the INEC. INEC will not be the one to apprehend anybody that attempts to disrupt the process. INEC will not be the one to detain them. So for me, there's a huge responsibility on these governments to live by its word. And they shouldn't take for granted the fact that we're having the highest number of observers, foreign observers, in the history of elections in this country, to the extent that some of them are led by heads of state or presidents from countries that have been able to conduct credible elections, including the likes of Thabo Mbeki from South Africa, other former, presidents. If we do not want to give ourselves negative advertisement as far as these elections is concerned, then government knows that it has to provide the necessary logistics, not just for INEC, but for the police, for other law enforcement and security agencies that will be on duty. The civil society organizations working on elections have provided enough information, empirical-based information, that should assist government to do this. For example, IEGA, IPC, and other civil society organizations working under the auspices of the European Union Support to Democratic Governance in Nigeria has released what we call the AEMRI, Election Manipulation Risk Index, where we identified 12 states that constitute a high risk when it comes to election manipulation. We believe that the government, the presidency, should make use of such information. There are others who have also identified threats to election security in a number of states in the country. Now, some of these areas where we categorize as high-risk areas when it comes to election manipulation also happen to be states where you are likely to have the highest number of voters. So yesterday, INEC at the press conference released information on the collection of PVCs and the likely turnout. I could just mention that Kano, for example, and Lagos also are two of the states that we have identified as high-risk areas when it comes to election manipulation. Now, these figures are not just there for the sake of it. It's also to assist the law enforcement and security agencies to be able to do their work. I feel that more than any other stakeholder in this election, it is the government, it is the president that has the onerous responsibility of ensuring that we would have an election whose results would be popular and acceptable to the majority of Nigerians.
We'd like to thank you, Mr. Lanre Arogundade, is Executive Director, International Press Center. Thanks for your thoughts on the issue.
Thank you very much.
And just before we go on a break, the Ooni of Ife has appealed to INEC to justify the citizens' confidence in the commission with credible, transparent and acceptable election. The monarch, who is also co-chairman, National Traditional Council of Nigeria, was speaking while addressing newsmen at his palace in Ile-Ife, Osun State, over his desire for successful polls in the nation.
For their country has come. I want to urge all voters to be law-abiding, be very calm, put the love of our their country first. The love of our their country supersedes all. I want to call on all security agents to be a very patriotic umpire, the way they should be. They shouldn't take sides. They shouldn't be an agent of bully. And they shouldn't have any preference for any candidates.
A message of peace there from the monarch. Still to come, Nigerians in diaspora. The international community asks Nigerians to uphold democracy by coming out to vote in the 2023 elections. That's in a moment. Stay with us. Let's head to the South region where our correspondent, Dobra Timewood, joins me now. Hi, Dobra. The South region has always made headlines during elections and perhaps not for the best of reasons. Talk to us about activities towards the elections.
Hi, Millicent. I'm at the Bayelsa State Police Command, and as much as everybody in Bayelsa, most people are excited to go out tomorrow and exercise their franchise. Some people are concerned about security. What has the police done to ensure the safety of lives and properties? And I have the right person to tell us all about that. I have CP Harry Mohammed, who is the Bayelsa election CP. Sir,
my pleasure meeting you.
What has the Nigerian government done to ensure that Bayelsa
A lot has been done by Bayelsa State Police Command, and of course, other security agencies to ensure that when Bayelsa go out tomorrow to cast their votes and exercise their civic rights, they will do that peacefully and return back peacefully to their various homes and of course destinations. One was a show of force that was carried out throughout the nooks and crannies of this command in conjunction with other security agencies. And of course, we also followed it with raids of criminal hideouts where criminals were also smoked out from various hideouts, and of course, had meetings a couple of times with other agencies, all in a bid to ensure that Bayelsa do not have any cause for regret as far as security of lives and their properties is concerned.
Now, Bayelsa is over 60% liberal, and I noticed behind the officers are ready to go to their 20+ What is being done to ensure that we get to the hinterlands in Bayelsa, they step in and protect people over there?
Of course, deployments of gunboats have been made, backed by the police, and in conjunction with the Navy that have absolute control of the waterways. As I speak to you, we have them at various locations of waterways. Southern Ijo, which is deemed to be the most notorious axis and also Nembe axis. All those areas are fully covered both by the Marine Police, and of course the Navy. And from here, to convey them, we have on standby speedboats and also gunboats that are there to provide security to our men, not just our men, INEC officials, electoral materials, and what have you, to ensure that those things are done, of course, movement is carried out seamlessly without any lacuna.
Thank you.
Thank you very much and welcome.
Millicent, earlier on in the day, I was at INEC office by Biafrar State, and the resident election commissioner actually assured us that everything is going on smoothly. In fact, sensitive materials have been sent from the CBN to the RAC centers. Everything is going on smoothly, and for INEC, they believe that this will be itch-free. Now, even according to the resident electoral commissioner, even if it's not itch-free, the itches will be very, very minimal, as you're doing everything to ensure that tomorrow's exercise goes on smoothly. That's the update from Biafrar State.
Many thanks, Droba Timi Wood there in Yenagoa, the Biafra State capital, on its preparations ahead of tomorrow. We go out of the country to a Finland-based newspaper, Helsingin, that has reported the release of pro-Biafra agitator Simon Ekpa, the leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra. As alleged, Ekpa had been accused of inciting violence in Nigeria from his base in Finland. He was consequently detained by the Finnish police following an operation at his home in Lahti Thursday. Nigeria's Ministry of Foreign Affairs had summoned the Finnish ambassador over misinformation, disinformation, hate speech, and comments by Mr. Ekpa, who is using his social media and had asked millions of people to boycott Nigeria's general elections. Elsewhere, the President of the United States of America, Joe Biden, has urged Nigerians to uphold democracy by coming out to vote their preferred candidates at the general elections. In a press statement released by his office yesterday, President Biden commended the political parties for signing the peace accord, saying that it is a significant step towards ensuring a peaceful handover of power after the elections. He also commended President Muhammadu Buhari's commitment to seeing that the will of the people is respected. President Biden encouraged voters to remain peaceful during the course of elections and assured them that the United States is fully behind them in their quest for a democratic, prosperous, and secure future. And Nigerians all over the world are excited about the 2023 general elections for various reasons. For some, it is the desire to see a new and functional Nigeria emerge, while for others, like those resident in the UAE, a lot more is at stake as their continued stay in the Middle Eastern country depends on how well the next leadership engages the UAE government on diplomatic issues. Our Dubai correspondent Maiwa Adegoke captures the thoughts of some of them in this report.
In order to escape some of the harsh realities of living in Nigeria, many Nigerians quickly relocate to other parts of the world, now popularly called Japa. And as we've seen in the case of Nigerians in the UAE, living in Nigeria doesn't always mean that you escape being a Nigerian. I'm being joined by citizen Oluwatosin, who's popular as My Cup of Tea, a blogger who's been following very closely the situation of Nigerian youths and, in fact, Nigerian residents in the UAE. He tells me more about why this election is very important for Nigerians in the UAE.
Nigerians in the UAE seems lost interest, lost hope in this present administration. We are looking forward to the next administration that they can help us solve the problem we have been facing here for almost 2 years now, the issue of work permit ban and visa ban. Nigerians back at home should help us vote in the right person that can solve all this problem we have, especially somebody that has the willpower to solve the problems. Nigerians working, living in UAE, there's a general understanding that we have been disenfranchised because Nigerians in diaspora cannot vote. But this is not true. Even if we cannot vote, we can influence our people back home to vote on our behalf. So I will employ Nigerians in UAE, Nigerians in diaspora generally, to call their people back home, to go out there and vote for someone that has the willpower, someone that has the energy and the charisma to solve the present problems we're having. As Nigerians all over the globe, we're having problems. We're having identity even crisis. And we need this to fix. We need the next administration to fix this. And we're hoping that the next president of Nigeria will be someone that we all can be proud of.
I'm out and about in Dubai, looking to speak to more Nigerians about this election. Dera is a vibrant business hub, and you have several Nigerian restaurants in this area. That means that many Nigerians come here to eat from time to time. Beatrice Olusoji has lived in the UAE for 9 years. Her INEC restaurant has been running for 7 years, and she says the outcome of this election is of concern to her.
It will affect me because I'm a Nigerian and I love my country. I really love my country. Because Yoruba sọ pé àjò kò lè dàbí ilé. As I can do here, I cannot do. As I can do in Nigeria, I cannot do it here. I just pray that God should choose good government for good presidents. That's my prayer. Because what affects Nigeria is also affecting us here. Seriously, I won't tell you a lie. And I want to tell you to take note. If Nigeria is sick, many countries are sick.
Yet another call on God. Nana Afolabi minding her business in Biggie Restaurant's kitchen, putting her trust in God to take over the elections. Across town in the upscale Palm Jumeirah, Nigerian investors gathering at another restaurant also share their thoughts.
We just cannot get it wrong this time around, because any wrong decision we make right now is going to affect every Nigerian, both those in Nigeria and those in the diaspora. And we just have to get it right.
Vote for the right person, because we've suffered so much. We really need to change our directions. We really need to improve our lives. We really need to improve the lives of our generations to come. That's my candid advice.
My message for Nigeria is we should vote wisely and let everything be calm. We don't want to share blood to do this election. And I pray that God will move in Nigeria this 2023.
Although separated from home by thousands of kilometers, it seems Nigerians in the United Arab Emirates will be monitoring the elections closely, as they too have a lot at stake. From Dubai in the United Arab Emirates, Maya Wadigoke for Channels Television.
Well, to more political stories. The Police Service Commission says the police and other security agencies should exhibit the highest level of patriotism in ensuring that both voting Nigerians and voting materials are safe and secure. According to the statement, the acting chairman of the commission called on the commission's monitors to portray professionalism in their conduct. Meanwhile, the Federal Capital Territory Security Committee has urged residents to come out en masse to exercise their civic responsibility and assures residents of their safety during and after the general elections. The Director of Information and Communication said adequate security arrangement has been made to guarantee the safety of officials of INEC and other stakeholders. And the Inspector General of Police, Usman Alkali-Baba, has deployed 3 commissioners of police to Imo to ensure the success of tomorrow's election. In the statement, the police spokesperson, Henry Okoye, said each of the 3 CPs will be in charge of the elections in the 3 senatorial districts in the state. Also, as part of efforts to curb violence during the general election, the military police and Department of State Services, they began massive raids on hideouts of hoodlums. The public relations officer of the command, Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, said 63 suspected thugs were arrested in Kano for disrupting public peace, wielding dangerous weapons and burning vehicles. He adds the suspects are going to be investigated before being arraigned in court. And you've been served on Lunchtime Politics, 1 hour on the eve of the general election. Stay with Channels Television as we bring you more coverage on election eve and everything you need to know, of course, on the verdict 2023. Don't forget to join the discussion on our social media platforms. I'm Millicent Walker. Thank you for watching.